there, I'm Cath. Welcome to my channel Made by Cath Craft. Thank you so much for joining me today. So in today's vlog I'm going to be talking all about what I've been sewing in April. And it's been a bit of a funny month because it started off with my machine out of action. It broke towards the end of March. I was just going to do some sewing and I tried to put the presser foot in the attachment, and the attachment kind of broke and fell into the machine. So I couldn't use the presser foot. And my machine does have one of those start-stop buttons on it, so I could have carried on sewing with that, but I really much prefer the precision of the pressure foot, and my machine was due for a service anyway. I hadn't had it serviced since it'd been bought about 6 years ago, and I've been wanting to take it for a service for a while. So I thought, right, let's pack it up, and I took it down to my local shop where I bought it from. And they specialise in a few machines, including the faff machine that I have. So they did that, got it all serviced, I got it back. But it did mean I had a bit of a break from sewing for about 3 weeks, which is quite nice actually, because I think sometimes you come back refreshed from a break. And it gave me a bit of a chance to have a look through what fabrics I do have in my stash and you know, think of plans for them. And I also did some batch cutting out of a few projects. I'm not usually a big fan of cutting out in batches. Cutting out isn't my favourite part of the sewing process generally, and I know some people do a whole batch of cutting out and then they don't have to do any more cutting out for a while and can just focus on the sewing. But I find once I've cut one thing out, it takes me quite a while and I like to have a break and actually do some sewing, so I usually sort of cut, sew. But because my sewing machine wasn't here, I thought I'd do a few things, get a few things cut out, and it's actually quite satisfying now because I've got a little stack of things ready to go and ready to sew, so it's quite nice actually. But I did get my sewing machine back early in April, so I have got some sewing done this month, so I'm really looking forward to showing you what I've been making. But I'll start off with showing what I'm wearing today. And today is kind of a spring day here in the south of England. It's sunny, but there's a bit of a chill in the air. So I got out this dress here, and it's the Honeycomb Dress by Cocowawa Crafts. It's a really nice pattern for a woven dress pattern with some lovely little details. It's got a panelled bodice and a little yoke at the back and a button down front, a gathered skirt, and these lovely little waist ties on each side that pull in. So I think it's quite a pretty one. And this version I made, it's more of a wintry version. I made it in this brushed viscose twill fabric, and it's really soft and snuggly and quite cosy, so it's keeping me quite warm today. And I'll put a picture up of me wearing it so you can see what it looks like. I made the smallest size in this pattern because I find it does come up a little bit big, and the waist ties do cinch it in nicely though. And I actually made this dress originally with long sleeves and a slightly longer length skirt, and I wasn't really wearing it at all, so I decided to refashion it slightly and chop it off. As you can see now, I've got sort of shorter sleeves and a slightly shorter length above the knee now, and it feels much more me now, and I've got it out a lot more. But it's a really comfy one to wear and really lovely and cosy in this snuggly viscose twill. So that's what I'm wearing today, the Cocowawa Crafts Honeycomb Dress. A really nice, pretty shirt dress pattern with a little bit of a twist. But now let me show you what I've been sewing this month. So the first make I wanted to share with you for April is actually 3 makes I made out of the same fabric. And I saw this lovely cotton jersey fabric go by on Instagram, and I really liked it. And I thought, I was really torn. I had a couple of ideas in my head of what I wanted to make, and I was really torn between which one to go for. So I thought I'll buy 3 meters and see if I can squeeze both them out of that amount. And it's this lovely blue fabric. It's a really pretty blue colour with these lovely little ditzy floral prints on it and these little white flowers. And I thought it was really pretty. It's a different colour that I don't really have much of in my wardrobe, and I really like the print. And it's really nice quality cotton actually. It's by the Craft Cotton Company. And yeah, it was really nice. It didn't curl up at the edges. It was really nice to sew with. So I'm really pleased with it. And I'm glad I got the 3 meters because I really like what I've made. And it came from Stitches and Bobbins, which is an online fabric shop. But I went back on their website recently, and it looks like they've closed down since I bought this. At least their website doesn't seem to be up and running anymore, which is a real shame because they had some lovely fabrics and they're really lovely ladies. But I'm not exactly sure what's happened there, but I was really pleased that I did manage to get some of this fabric, so I think it's a really nice one. So yeah, I made 3 things out of this fabric, and the first thing I made was a Agnes top by Tilly and the Buttons. And I really like the Agnes top for in between weather when it's not super cold and not super warm. And it's by Tilly and the Buttons. It's a nice jersey top. It has a few different options, and I made this sort of fairly basic option, just quite a fitted top with a scoop neck. I didn't add any ruching on the sleeves on the bodice. and I made my standard Tilly size 2, and that's designed for bust 32, waist 26 and hips 35. And I'm bust 32, waist 26 and hips 36, so slightly larger on the hips, but I haven't ever bothered grading out because there's a bit of an ease with it being a stretchy fabric anyway, so it seems to fit fine. But I'll show you my version. Here it is, as I made the long sleeve version. And I think it's just quite a nice basic jersey top that I hope will go really well with jeans or with a pinafore too. And yeah, I just think the colour's really pretty. And it was a fairly straightforward sew because it's one I've made a few times before. The only bit I find is always a bit fiddly is making sure the neckband lies flat, but it went in quite well on this one. I always baste it in place first to check it before I sew it in. I usually use just, I don't often overlock around the edge of this top, just because I find that sometimes overlocking threads can bother me when it sits really closely, and I find it gives quite a neat finish anyway, and the jersey doesn't fray, so I often just leave it like that, and then I stitched it down here, just with a zigzag stitch. So that's my Agnes top. I'll put up a picture of me wearing it. Yeah, I really like it. It's quite like a wardrobe basic, but I think a little bit pretty in this fabric. I can't decide whether I like it better tucked into jeans or out of jeans, so I'll put up a picture of both and see what you think. I think it works quite well either way. So that was my first make with that fabric. I then made one other thing for me, which is a dress, and I made a dress using this pattern here. This is one of my favourite jersey dress patterns, and it's the McCall's M7561. It's a great pattern, so there are loads of different variations, as you can see. You can make like a long skirt or a short skirt, longer sleeves, no sleeves, and it's got a dipped back version too, which I think is really pretty. I haven't tried that version, but I do really like the look of that. And I made quite a basic version, which is a sort of t-shirt top into a gathered skirt. So the bodice is, I guess, a little bit similar to the Agnes. And then, yeah, just with a plain gathered skirt that finishes just above the knee. So yeah, I hope I'll get a lot of wear out of this one. I think it'll be great for summer. It's quite a relaxed, casual, comfy dress to wear. And I think it might be quite nice with like a denim jacket on top. And also, I think I could wear it with a cardigan and a pair of tights when the weather gets a bit cooler too. So hopefully a few different options of how I can style this one. But I put a picture up of me wearing it so you can see. So in this pattern, I usually make the size small, which is designed for a bust 31.5 to 32.5 inches, a waist 24 to 25 inches, and a hip 33.5 to 34.5 inches. So my hips are slightly larger, but because it's a gathered skirt, there's plenty of ease there, and I don't think the hip measurement's too critical. And for the waist measurement, my waist measure is a little bit larger than a size small, but actually I found it came up a little bit larger around the waist, so I'm not sure if I found this pattern exactly true to size, because I actually ended up taking it in a bit on the waist to give a fitted look. But yeah, it sews it really nicely. The only adjustment I made when I made this one from the pattern is, the pattern recommends for around the neck, just to turn on, you don't add a neckband, you just turn under the fabric of the bodice, and then turn under again and stitch it. And I have done that on a previous version, it worked. But on this fabric, I gave it a go on a test piece, and it was starting to stretch out a bit. So I decided to add a neckband instead, because I didn't want to end up with a distorted neckline around the front, and I'm not sure just turning under is the best way to finish a neckline personally. So yeah, I added a neckband instead, and that sits nicely. But as I said, I'll put a picture of me wearing that one. I'm really pleased with that one, and I liked it so much, I had enough fabric actually to make a little mini version for my daughter. And she's 5, and she's still quite keen on the idea of twinning, so I thought, well, that might be quite fun, and even if we don't wear it at the same time, I thought it's pretty fabric that will suit her too. So I made a little mini version of the dress here, as you can see. So it's very similar to my version. It's much less fitted on her though, it's much more relaxed fit on her. And I made that, it's like less of a scoop neck as well. But I made that using my favourite dress pattern for her, which is the Pansy dress pattern by Poppy and Jazz. So it's this one here. So yeah, it's just a basic dress pattern for newborn to 6 years. So she's kind of getting to the top end of the range for this, but it comes up big, so I think I'll be able to get a good amount of use out of it still. It's just quite a basic jersey dress pattern for a little one with a gathered skirt and a little sort of crew neckline, and I mean it comes in long sleeves, but I just crop them off to make it summery with short sleeves. Yes, just did the basic pansy dress. I didn't add a ruffle or anything to this one like I have done before. Yeah, so she was really pleased with it actually. I managed to sew it up one day when she was at school, and I had a spare hour or two, and I cut it out and sewed it up, and it comes together really quickly, this one. And so it was a nice surprise for her when she got home from school, and I wasn't sure if she would be keen on the idea of twinning or not, but she was really up for it. So yeah, we might wear them out one day together. It might be a little bit jolly. So that's a pansy dress, and I was really pleased because that pretty much used up my 3 meters, that did, with the Agnes top. and my jersey dress and her jersey dress, and I really like the fabric, so it's nice to know we'll all get a fair amount of wear out of it. So yeah, that's the first make for April. The next make I'm sharing with you is actually one I mainly made in March, but I hadn't quite finished it when my sewing machine broke, and I was just about to hem it when the sewing machine broke. And I know I could have sort of finished hemming it using the stop start button and got it done, but I thought no, I'm not in a major rush to have this one finished. I'll wait until I've got the presser fit back, because I do much prefer to use that, particularly when I'm doing things like the hem where I want to make sure it's really neat. And it's using this pattern here, which is the Zadie Jumpsuit by Paper Theory. And it's a lovely pattern. It's a really popular one on Instagram. I've seen so many nice versions of this one. So it's a wraparound jumpsuit, and you can make it with short sleeves that are sort of grown on, or a longer sleeve option. And then it's got like a wide leg trouser. But I made it last year as a playsuit, and I made it again as a playsuit, so I just cropped it off at sort of shorts level. It's got some really lovely details to it. It's got a visible bias binding around the bodice here, which finishes sort of really nicely. I really like how the tie pulls in at the waist. It's got some little pleating here too. So yeah, some really nice details to this pattern. And I made one version last year, and I really enjoyed wearing it, and it's a lovely sew too, so it was great all round. So I really wanted to make another version this year. And I bought some fabric actually towards the tail end of last year, knowing I wanted to make the Zadie, but I didn't really feel like it was the right time to sew it as we headed into winter. So when the weather started to perk up a bit this year, I thought, right, I really want to sew that one. Now, the fabric I use, this lovely viscose linen fabric. Here it is. It's got this really nice sort of large scale leaf print on, which I think is really pretty, in sort of a navy and a white colour. And I got this from System in Taka, and it's now sold out on System in Taka, but I actually had a look and they do stock it in a range of colours on the Minerva website, so I'll include a link down below in case you fancy picking some of it up, because it's really nice quality viscose linen blends. It's got a bit of the drape of viscose, but it's got a bit of a linen texture, and it feels a bit more sturdy and substantial than a viscose too, and it was really nice to sew with. So this is my version. It's really hard to show off the actual garment like this, but you can see the lovely bias binding detail around the front there, which I think is really pretty and fun to put in. And I'll put a picture of me wearing it so you can see what it really looks like on. So yeah, I'm really pleased with it, and I can't wait for it to get a bit warmer so I can get it out and wear this one. I made the smallest size in this pattern. What's that? The smallest size is for a bust of 31.5 inches, waist of 24 inches and hips of 34 inches. And that is a bit smaller than me, but when I looked at the finished garment measurements and when I read about other people's experiences, I heard it does come up a little bit big. So the finished garment measurements are size 6 of 37 inch bust, 31 inch waist and hips 42 inches, so I knew there'll be plenty of space. And I quite like the fit of it, how it is. I think if it was any bigger, it might be quite hard to tie it around and get the right fit around the waist. And this pattern actually is one I didn't need to make any adjustments to, and I think I'm quite lucky because I've heard of a few people having some fitting issues and having to play around with the fit a bit on this one to get it right for them. And I have quite a long body, and I think this pattern does seem to cater for a slightly longer body, so it worked quite well for me. But as I said, I'll pop the picture up. I really am really happy with it. It's such a comfy, relaxed thing to wear in the summer. I like how it covers the shoulders slightly, and I think it's really pretty and really stylish too. So I'm really looking forward to wearing that one, the Zadie Jumpsuit by Paper Theory. And I'm really glad to have two in my wardrobe now, because I can see I'll get a lot of wear out of them both this summer, as long as we have some nice weather, fingers crossed. Oh, and I forgot to mention, it's not entirely clear from the pattern line drawing, but the Zadie Jumpsuit has pockets too, so there's nothing really not to like about it. My next two makes I have to share with you are both tops. And I've been trying to add a few more me-made tops to my wardrobe this year. Historically, I have sewn quite a few dresses, and I do love wearing dresses, but sometimes I find with children it's so easy and practical to be able to pop on a pair of jeans, and I thought it'd be nice to have some slightly nicer tops to wear with my jeans rather than older t-shirts I've had in my wardrobe for a while. So I've been trying to add a few more tops, and the first one I made this month is this one here, and this is the Solar Tee by Paper Cut Patterns. And I made it in this really cool leopard print pointel cotton jersey, so you can see the pointel there if I hold it up to the camera. and it's this lovely mustard colour. And it was from Fabric Godmother, and it's one when I saw it go by on Instagram, I just went straight away and snapped it up because I thought it was a little bit unusual with the pointel, and I hadn't sewn with pointel before, so I thought I'd like to give that a try. And I thought the colour was really pretty, and I thought it would look great with a pair of jeans. It'd be nice and casual. So yeah, I used this pattern here. It's been renamed recently. It was the Kyoto sweater and tee, but they've recently renamed it to the Solar sweater and tee. And it's a really nice pattern. It's a sweater and tee with a little ruffle on the sleeves, and it's quite a loose and boxy fit and slightly dropped shoulder. It's one I've made a fair few times this year actually. It's been a bit of a favourite this year. And for this one I just omitted the ruffle because I thought that might be overkill with this fabric. So yeah, that's it. And I'll put up a picture of me wearing it. As I said, it's quite a loose fit and quite relaxed. And I was a bit umming and ahhing about whether I should make a sort of a tighter fit t-shirt or something a bit looser with this fabric. But in the end I decided to go for a slightly looser fit, just because I wasn't sure about how the recovery would be on this fabric and with the pointel. And I wasn't entirely confident that if I made something that was really fitted, that it would stay fitted and it wouldn't sort of get a bit loose and out of shape. And that might be me being unfair to the fabric, but I didn't want to risk it, so I decided to make a relaxed fit, and I really quite like the fit. It's really nice and comfortable, and yeah, one I'm going to get a lot of wear out of, I think. So yes, I make the smallest size, extra small, which is for a bust 32.5 inches, waist 24.5, and hips 34.5. But because it's a really loose, relaxed fit, then I find that comes up quite nicely on me. It just kind of skims over the bust and is quite relaxed and boxy. It's a nice sew. Actually, the pointel was really nice to sew with. I thought it might stretch a bit or be tricky, but actually it was really really behaved really well, and it came together really nicely. I use my walking foot always. I've got a faff which has like a built-in walking foot, so I have it on pretty much all the time, and I always think that helps with jersey fabrics to feed it through nice and evenly and avoid any sort of stretching out. But yeah, I really like it. I think it's a really pretty colour, and I'm looking forward to getting lots of wear out of this one, the Solar Tee by Paper Cut Patterns. So the Solar Tee was a stretch top pattern I made this month, and I also made a woven top pattern, again designed to sort of wear with jeans quite casually. And I made it using this pattern here, which is the cuff top by the Assembly line, and it's one I've been admiring on Instagram for a while. It's a really nice top. It's quite a simple pattern. It only has one variation, but I think it's really nice. It's got some really nice details. So it's got two pattern pieces at the front, so it's kind of at the back, so it has a line down the front, and you stitch that. And it's got these kind of oversized cuffs and a sort of boat neckline, quite like a wide neckline. But yeah, I thought it was really pretty with these kind of gathered cuffs, and I thought it looked really nice on everyone I'd seen making this. So I thought I'd give it a go. And I bought this in particular because I had some fabric in mind to use for it. And if you saw my Frugal Frocks introduction video a few weeks ago, I'll put a link up in case you fancy having a look. I was talking all about fabrics I had in my stash, because that challenge was all about using fabrics from your stash and then a free pattern. But I was looking at the fabrics I had in my stash, and I had two colourways of the same fabric in my stash, and I wanted to make something where I put them both together because I thought it would look really nice. And it was this fabric here. This is my cuff top that I made to use it, and it's a Lady McElroy cotton lawn, and I'd bought it in two different colours for two different projects. So this kind of pinky colour, I made a hacked Calais shirt dress with a gathered skirt, which I really like. And then this navy colourway, I made a pair of pyjama bottoms. And I had enough left over to be able to make something combining the two. And I thought the cuff top would be perfect because it's got this line down the front. I thought it would be perfect for colour blocking, so I thought I'd give it a go. So this is my version here. So yeah, I'm really pleased with that actually. I think the two fabrics together work really well. I put them on the front and the back. And it's got the oversized cuffs and the slightly wider neckline. And yeah, I think it's just a bit different, and I really like how it's turned out. This cotton lawn is really lovely to work with. It's really silky and quite crisp, so it behaved really nicely. And I really enjoyed sewing this pattern actually. Yeah, so it's got some really nice details. I did make a few adjustments though. So I sewed it in the smallest size, the extra small, and it only has the measurements in this pattern in centimetres, but I converted them to inches because I just feel much more comfortable working in inches. So that's a bust 32 inches, a waist 25.6 inches, and a hip 36.4 inches. So that was quite good for me, the bust and the hips, and I thought, well, it's kind of a boxy shape, so the waist measurement shouldn't be too critical. So I went for that size, and that worked quite well. I did lengthen it slightly, and I'll put up a picture of me wearing it so you can see how the length ended up. So I lengthened it by a couple of inches, just so I can tuck it into jeans quite comfortably, which I plan to do sometimes. I think it works quite well tucked in and tucked out. I also had read online that the neckline comes up really wide and can end up showing your bra straps a bit because it is so wide. So I actually brought it in by about 1 centimetre on each side. I just adjust the pattern piece to bring it in slightly. And then it's got a facing, so I had to adjust the facing pattern piece too. And that I'm actually pleased I did, because that sits just inside of my bra strap. So I think any wider and it might have shown them off a little bit. So I made that little adjustment. And then I also, one other adjustment I made is to dip the front neckline just slightly. Because when I was looking online for inspiration, I could see it came up quite high at the front, and I find that bothers me a little bit when things come up too high, and I probably wouldn't end up wearing it because I'd find it like I'd be pulling it down a little bit. And it wasn't that I needed a forward shoulder adjustment, because actually the shoulder seems to sit just right. I think it is just quite a high neck. So I just took that down by about 1.5 centimetres, and I'm pleased because I feel like it sits quite comfortably now where it is. So yeah, it was a nice sew. It came together really well. The instructions were nice and clear. I quite enjoyed bits like, for example, the top stitching down the front. And one other thing I added in as an extra step to this pattern when I was sewing it is it doesn't mention anything about stay stitching the neckline before you sew the facing in. But I did actually stay stitch around the neckline at the front and the back before I added the facing, just to make sure it didn't stretch out. I'm not sure it would have stretched out in this cotton because it's quite stable. But if I made this top again, say in a double gauze or viscose, I definitely would stay stitch it, just because I think it might stretch out a little bit otherwise. But that's the only minor tweaks I made. But I'm really pleased with that, actually. I think it's a bit of fun, and I definitely will be using this pattern again because I really like it. And I like to make one maybe in a plain fabric too, just to look a bit different to my colour blocked version. But that was the assembly line cuff top. So yeah, I really enjoyed sewing that one. My next make I wanted to share is one for my son. I thought I'd just share them because I thought they were quite cute. And I made him a pair of sort of Minecraft inspired joggers using the mini Hudson pants pattern by True Bias. And here they are. Yeah, it was a really quick make. I've made a couple of pairs of Hudson pants to him now, and he requested a pair that, as said, were inspired by Minecraft, so using this kind of emerald green colour. And then we thought it would look nice with a few little details, like a black cord and some little black pocket details. I've gone for green on the bottoms, that's what he asked for. And I made that up in his size, in a size age 7. And the only adjustment I make when I make it for him is to widen the bottom cuffs a little bit, just to make it that bit easier for him to get them on and off, because he's generally in a rush. So yeah, that's them, and yeah, it's a really great pattern. I've got the women's and the men's and the children's versions. I would thoroughly recommend it. I'm sure I'm going to get lots of wear out of it. Lots of wear? I'm getting lots of use out of it, and he'll get lots of wear out of it. And this fabric was from Minerva, just really nice loop back jersey, not too thick, because my son is always dashing about at top speed and will get hot if he's in anything too thick and bulky. So those are they, and I'll put a picture up of him wearing them. He's really pleased with them, and it was really nice to be able to make another thing for him, because I do find it harder to get fabrics that are up his street. So yeah, I'm really pleased with those, the mini Hudson pants by True Bias. My next make is one I'm really pleased to have finished, actually, because it's been one that's been on my list for a while and I've kind of put off finishing. And I actually put it on my Make 9 2021 plans list because it's one I really wanted to give a go. And it's this top here. It's the Astoria top by Seamwork. And I'll show you the line drawings here. It's kind of like a sweater that's fairly fitted. It sort of sits fairly high. It's kind of a cropped sweater. It's got a sort of crew style neckline. Yeah, and then you can either make a 3/4 length sleeve or a long sleeve. And I've seen so many lovely versions of it. I thought it looked really pretty, but I really wanted to give it a go. So I put it on my Make 9 2021 plans, which is a list of 9 patterns I wanted to sew this year. And I made a video talking all about those patterns, so I'll put a link up in case you fancy having a look at that. But yeah, as I said, the Astoria was on that list, and I actually, towards the end of last year, decided to make a toile of it, just because I bought some fabric for the main version I didn't want to spoil. So I'll put a picture of the toile, which I made, and I made it just using some leftover jersey scraps I had in 2 different colours, because I didn't have enough of either colour to make a whole top, and it was just for practice. And yeah, I made this, I made it according to my size measurement. So I made that in an extra small bust. The extra small is 33, 34, so I'm slightly smaller than that, but I knew it was fitted, so I thought I'd just give that a go. And then I graded up to in between an extra small and small for the waist, because the waist for small was 25 to 26 inches, and the waist for extra small was 25 to 26 inches, and the waist for small was 27 to 28 inches. And because it was quite fitted, I didn't want it to be too tight around the waist, so I graded up a little bit. And I gave it a go, and I wasn't really entirely happy with how it came out. There were like a few different issues I had with the fit on me. I found the neckline here felt like it was sitting a bit high at the front, even though the shoulder seam felt like, I didn't think I needed a forward shoulder adjustment. The shoulder seam felt like it sat in the right place. It just felt a little bit high at the front. So I thought for the main version I moved that down a little bit, and I'm pleased I did, because I didn't find the first version entirely comfortable there. I also found then the arms came up really tight actually, and I don't usually find that because I've got quite skinny arms, but I did find them tight. So for the main version I widened the arms as well. And then with the crops, it's kind of cropped with the bottom band on. It didn't really feel very comfortable on me. I didn't really quite feel comfortable where it sat. It felt a bit too short, but I thought if I made it longer it would just creep up. So I wasn't entirely keen on that and how it felt on me, even though I've seen it looking so lovely in other people, it wasn't quite for me. So yeah, I hacked the pattern quite a bit to make my proper version, and here is my proper version. And I made it using this gorgeous Mind the Maker leaf print jacquard fabric, which has got a really high cotton content, which I liked. And it's got this lovely print on it, as you can see. Yeah, it's got this lovely kind of embossed kind of leaf print on it. And it was quite pricey, so yeah, that's why I kind of did a bit of a playing around with the twill before I cut into this fabric, because I really didn't want to ruin it. But I really like the colour, the navy. I think it's called Indigo Night actually. And I got this from Lamazi Fabrics, and I think they've sold out of this colourway now possibly, but they do still stock it on Minerva, so I'll include a link down below in case you're interested in this one. It was really lovely fabric and it was really nice to sew with, really stable. But yeah, so I made those adjustments. I dipped the front neckline, I widened the sleeve, made the longer version, and then I just totally changed the actual main body of it. I decided to omit the bottom band, and I decided to make it like looser and longer, because I wanted it to be kind of like a fitted jumper that I could wear with t-shirts underneath. And I'll put up a picture of me wearing it, and I'm really happy with how it turned out actually. It has moved quite a long way from the original Astoria pattern, but I'm really pleased with how it's come out, and it's kind of what I envisioned I wanted from this fabric and this jumper. So yeah, I really like it actually, and I'm glad I spent a bit of time fiddling around with the pattern, and I'm glad I did finally sew it. So yeah, that's it, and I definitely will be using my quite adapted pattern again to make more of these, because it's really nice now, a really nice fitted jumper, and I like how the shoulders sit, and yeah, I really like it, so I'm glad I did finish it, and it is beautiful fabric, so I'm really looking forward to wearing this one. It feels a bit wintry now, but I'll definitely be getting it out as soon as some more cold weather comes around. I figure you can't really go wrong with the navy, it'll never go out of fashion. So that's the Seamwork Astoria, one of my Make 9 2021 completed in quite an adjusted, adapted form. And then my final sewing make I wanted to share with you is actually a make in progress, but I thought I'd share with you how I've got on with it so far. And it's another twill actually. I've been doing quite a few twirls recently, I think. I'm not sure why, because I used to just kind of dive straight in with projects, but maybe now the more I sew, the more I'm conscious of fitting and wanting to make the adjustments to get it right. But anyway, I'm making a twill of this pattern here, which is a Shelby dress and romper by True Bias. And the one I want to make is the dress version, which is this version here. So it's a lovely kind of princess themed dress. It's kind of got a 90s vibe to it. And there's two different sleeve options, like kind of a slightly shorter one and a slightly longer one. And that's the one I'm planning on going for, the slightly longer one. It's got a button down bodice, princess themes, and it kind of flares out. And you can either make a longer skirt or a shorter skirt or like a romper version, which looks cute too. And it's got a little tie on the back. And as I said, it's got real 90s vibes about it. And I really fancied giving it a go. And again, I've seen some lovely versions of this one, and I had some fabric that had been sitting in my stash for a while that I'm really looking forward to cutting into for this one. But so far, all I've made is a twill of the bodice, because I really wasn't sure how the fit would come out with the princess seams, and I wanted to make sure it did sit right and I didn't spoil my nice fabric. So yeah, this is my twill I've made. And I haven't put buttons on, this is just as it is at the moment. So I decided just to make a twill of the bodice, because I only had 1 metre about left of this fabric in my stash. It's just a viscose challis that I got a while ago, and I hadn't really had any plans for it, so I thought I'd give it a go with the bodice. So yeah, I only had enough of the bodice, but I know the skirt will fit fine because it's a kind of flared skirt, so it'll just skirt over my hips. But I wanted to give the bodice a go just to see how it would fit around the bust, because when I had a little play with the pattern piece and held them up against me, it looked like the bust curve was maybe sitting a bit higher than my bust, so I wanted to see how that turned out when I sewed it up. So I sewed this one up, and I'm really glad I did, because I have had to make some tweaks to it, and I'm still in the process of tweaking it, particularly around the princess seams at the front here, and also there was quite a lot of extra room at the back, so I took a little bit more out of these seams here as well, just to bring it in slightly at the back. Yes, that's how it's coming on at the moment, and I'll put up a picture of me wearing it so you can see the front and the back. So I made the size 0 for the toile, which is a chest of 32 inches, a waist of 26 inches and hips of 34 inches. And so that's my measurements except the hips, which are slightly narrower. But the actual finished measurement hips is 53 inches because it's so flared. So I thought, well, that's not a problem. But the finished measurements of the chest were 37 inches and the waist were 30 inches. And I thought that seems like a lot of ease for, yeah, so I thought maybe that would end up being a bit too bulky around here. And it has ended up a bit bulky. So I'm really glad I've had a bit of a tweak of that. But yeah, that's how it is at the moment in progress. And I'm really looking forward to showing you my finished version in a future makes video. It's on my list of things to do. I need to have a little bit more of a tweak with this one, just how those princess seams are sitting. And then I'll cut into my main fabric and get started on that. So that'll be one coming soon. But it's a really lovely pattern and I've enjoyed having a kind of play with it and not rushing and just taking my time over it. So that I can hopefully get a really nice dress out of it. That's a Shelby dress pattern. So that was my last sewing make I had to share with you for April. But I have got one knitting make to share with you, and it's another knitted cat from this book here, the Knitted Cats and Kittens book by Sue Stratford. And if you've seen some of my previous makes videos, you'll know I've been working my way through this book and knitting cats and kittens for my son and daughter, and they've really enjoyed requesting them. And I've really enjoyed knitting them actually, because I've learnt some new techniques, because some of them can be quite fiddly. But I hadn't made one for a few weeks, and then my daughter was leafing through the book again and found one she really wanted me to make. And it's this pattern here. It is the alley cat pattern. So you can see, yeah, it's kind of quite a straightforward design actually compared to some of them. Quite a cute kitty in this kind of brown and cream colour. And my daughter didn't want a brown and cream alley cat. She's quite into her pink at the moment, and so she was quite keen on the idea of a pink alley cat. And we had to look through my leftover yarn from other projects because I made a few pink things for her in the past. And we managed to find a couple of balls of yarn that she liked where I had enough left over to make alley cat. So I was quite pleased he was made from wool existing in my stash. And here he is. As I said, he's quite pink. He's even got pink toy eyes. We managed to find some pink toy eyes to put on him too. So yeah, he was a fun one to knit up. He was quite straightforward and less fiddly than some, so he's quite quick knit comparatively to some of the cats. And she's really pleased with him, and I like him too. I think he's got, yeah, quite a cute little look to him. He's quite a jazzy alley cat. But that he's yeah, my final thing to share this month, my knitted make, this little kitten. And he's going to be sitting in her room with other knitted cats. So that's from the book Knitted Cats and Kittens by Sue Stratford, and it's been a lot of fun sewing my way through it. Sorry, knitting my way through it. My son's got a couple of requests for a couple of cat accessories that are in here too, so I might be sharing those with you on a future vlog once I get around to those ones. But that was my final make for this month, so thanks so much for joining me to hear about what I've been up to. I've really enjoyed sharing them all. If you have enjoyed this video, I'd love it if you'd give it a like. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, I would love it if you would subscribe and press the bell icon so that you get notified of my future vlogs. I've got some plans for some future vlogs in the pipeline that I'm looking forward to sharing with you. So that's pretty much everything from me. I hope you have a lovely day and I'll see you again soon. Thanks again for watching. Bye!